Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to stand with you here today and be part of what you will see is landmark legislative moment for our province's history. In these times of geopolitical uncertainty, our government remains unwavering in our commitment to protect the people of Ontario, strengthen our economy, and foster the necessary conditions for opportunity and investment. We understand that the challenges at hand cannot be solved with incremental policy. Instead, they require bold and decisive actions to be taken. And this includes deploying tailored and targeted supports to help industries withstand the economic impact of unfair and unjustified tariffs. It is for this very reason that our government is proud to announce the launch of a new $50 million Ontario Together Trade Fund. This is an important component of our government's Protect Ontario plan. The Ontario Together Trade Fund will provide immediate relief to businesses most impacted by the U.S. tariffs, and it will also lay the foundation for long-term resiliency and prosperity. Now, this fund will support businesses looking to make near-term investments so they can serve more interprovincial customers, develop new markets, create new jobs, and reshore critical supply chains back to Ontario. As we look ahead, Ontario remains steadfast in defending our economy and our workers against these unjustified tariffs and other trade actions imposed by the United States. And we look forward to seeing these measures pave the way for a strong and prosperous future for Ontario and partnering provinces and territories. Now, please join in welcoming Premier Ford to the podium.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. And I'm just so pleased to be here alongside my fellow premiers. Premier Houston, that has really taken the lead from the get-go of Nova Scotia. Thank you, Premier Houston. And Premier Holt, which has been an absolute champion for the people in New Brunswick. I want to thank you for your leadership as well, both premiers. As well as Ontario's super salesperson, that's what I call him, our number one salesperson, Minister Vic Fedeli. I was talking to Vic today, and this guy, I don't know how he does it. He hops on these planes, 15-hour flights, 20-hour flights. So thank you for all the travel that you do. And do you know what he told me today? He's off to Japan, he's off to South Korea, and he said, I will guarantee you I'm going to bring companies back with us. So thank you, and I'll hold you to that. We'll be back here to see if you did it or not. Today is just such a great day for Ontario. It's a great day for Canada. Today, we're taking a historic step forward to protect and unify our country, to build up Canada's economy by tearing down internal trade barriers. The cost of these barriers to our economy is absolutely enormous. Across the country, internal trade barriers increase the cost of everyday goods and services by nearly 15%. You talk about tariffs, my goodness. We've been tariffing each other, it seems, for decades, generations actually. They reduce our national GDP by more than 7% and cost our economy up to $200 billion every single year. In other words, much like President Trump's tariffs, these trade barriers hurt our economy, drive away jobs and investment, and divide us from each other. With President Trump taking direct aim at Canada's economy, it can't be business as usual. These last few months have made it clear. As premiers, we need to work together to build a more united, more competitive, more self-reliant Canadian economy that creates jobs and prosperity here at home. That's why later today, as the next step in our plan to protect Ontario, we will be introducing the Protect Ontario Through Free Trade Within Canada Act. This legislation will remove all of Ontario's remaining exceptions under the Canadian Free Trade Agreement, and we're going to continue working with our two provinces to sign an MOU And this will allow more certified workers from across Canada, including skilled tradespeople, more healthcare workers, to come and work in Ontario right away. We're also launching consultations to break down barriers for American healthcare workers, well-trained doctors and nurses, people who are fed up with how President Trump is governing, to come and work here in Ontario, work at both our great provinces, everywhere else in the country as well, as we continue hiring more doctors and nurses into our healthcare system. This legislation would and mean that Ontario automatically allows goods and services from another province to be sold right here in Ontario, provided that provinces treats Ontario goods and services the same way. So, to borrow an example from my friend Premier Houston, a frozen pizza made in Nova Scotia, you can tell this guy's in shape like Ray, he hasn't eaten too many pizzas like me. But anyways, I'll go with the frozen pizza. The frozen pizza made in Nova Scotia will be automatically recognized as a very safe to buy and eat here in Ontario. And to take that example one step further, if the truck driver who is moving those frozen pizzas is trained and certified in Nova Scotia, their credentials will be automatically recognized here in Canada as well, Ontario and Canada across the board there. These changes would also allow direct-to-consumer sales of alcohol from anywhere in Canada, provided that other provinces or territory treats Ontario producers the exact same way. This will provide new products for Ontario consumers to enjoy and millions of new customers for Ontario products across Canada. And I'm just so pleased that my fellow premiers are here to join me today, because no single province can tear down these trade barriers alone. Instead, we need all 13 provinces and territories working together, along with the federal government, to build a stronger, more united Canada. That's why today I'll be signing an agreement with Nova Scotia and an agreement with New Brunswick that support true free trade within Canada. These agreements are a blueprint, and they're a challenge to other provinces and territories to join us. It's a win for every business owner, a win for every worker, and every community held back by red tape and duplication. It's the right thing to do to protect Canada, to grow our economy, and create new jobs and opportunities across the country. Together, as a united Team Canada, we're going to get through this stronger and more united than ever before. I want to thank you, and may God bless the people of Canada. And now I'd like to hand things over to my friend Premier Houston. Thanks, Mike.
Good afternoon, everyone. What a moment for our country. What an opportunity we have in this moment. So we have to seize this moment. We have to act on this moment and make sure that we open up true free trade across Canada. So we've been in Nova Scotia. We've been very focused on this. We passed a piece of legislation. Basically, that legislation is all about good enough for Canadians, then good enough for Canadians. Something that's good enough for another part of the country is good enough for Nova Scotia. When I first started talking about this, when I talked to Premier Ford, his first words were, "Count me in." And I'm so pleased that today Premier Ford will table that legislation. I guess Minister Fedeli will table that. The top salesperson will table that legislation. And I'm incredibly pleased to see that progress. PEI has tabled a similar legislation. I want to thank Premier Lance. He was intending to be here. He's actually in Prince Edward Island debating this bill. And premiers across the province, they want to remove these barriers. There is progress. I know Premier Holt has removed some barriers already, is working towards some other exceptions, and those discussions will continue. So I thank Premier Holt and New Brunswick for their commitment. But this is obviously a situation where Canadians are quite surprised by the number of barriers that there have been when they hear about them. We can't accept it anymore. We have to remove them. and we have to work aggressively on this. So I'm pleased to see this momentum today. I'm pleased to, with the discussions we're having with the premiers, to continue to move forward. There is a goal, a challenge that's been laid down across the country of free trade in Canada, full free trade in Canada, across Canada, by Canada Day. And I don't know if we'll make that goal, but Nova Scotia is all in. We passed our bill. We have royal assent. We're we're there. Others are following as well. So I'm really pleased today to be here with two of my colleagues and know that also Premier Lance is in his legislature talking about this very issue, and knowing, just feeling the vibe from other premiers across the country that they want to get there. We all want to get there. But we have to move together and keep this progress. The situation we have, like the example Premier Ford mentioned about, a pizza that's safe for Nova Scotians, but under the current regulations not safe for, somebody in another province. That's ridiculous. And we could go down example of example of example that just has developed over time. And in this moment, we have to eviscerate all of those exceptions. And Nova Scotians all in. With the legislation today, Ontario has signaled they're all in. Prince Edward Island has signaled they're all in. Others are moving and coming along, and I'm encouraged, and I'm really happy to be here. So I want to thank the province of Ontario for tabling this legislation today and continuing to move the needle forward. But thank you so much. Oh, I think I was supposed to say. Now I'll turn the podium over to my colleague, the great Premier from New Brunswick, Premier Holt.
Thanks very much, Premier Houston, and thank you, Premier Ford and Minister Fedeli. It's a treat for us to be here with one of New Brunswick's largest trading partners to address an opportunity at a time when certainly New Brunswickers, and I think all Canadians, are feeling the uncertainty of the tariffs. What's on? What's off? How is it going to impact me? How's it going to impact my job? That uncertainty we're feeling. And now we have an opportunity to take that uncertainty and act in ways that protect Canada, protect Ontario, and protect New Brunswick by removing trade barriers and moving forward as a strong and united Team Canada. And we've really appreciated Doug's leadership around the Council of the Federation table as leading Team Canada through this. And so New Brunswick is really excited to be here today to sign this MOU with one of our largest trading partners so that the people of New Brunswick can benefit from the amazing products of Ontario. I know there's some fantastic wines from Niagara that the folks in New Brunswick would love to have. And I know as the craft beer capital of Canada, there's some opportunities for Ontarians to experience some of the things that New Brunswick does really well without red tape, without added cost, without a burden on the businesses to get our products across borders and into each other's hands. So we're really excited to be making that move. A couple of the specifics, one is on labor mobility. New Brunswick has put forward our legislation to recognize any Canadian credential in our province today. That means that anyone, including those doctors and nurses that Doug was talking about, can come and get to work in New Brunswick immediately. And we're excited that the same is true here in Ontario for New Brunswick professionals. There is the specific direct-to-consumer process on booze and liquor that we are excited to see so that we can celebrate in Canada and cheers each other with Canadian-made products, perhaps instead of American-made products. And so we're really excited to be moving forward and using this opportunity, this threat to our country that has been put in place by the President of the United States. The response is that Canada is getting stronger, working more closely together, doing more business with themselves. And New Brunswick is really excited about the opportunity to do more business with Ontario under the Memorandum of Understanding that we're signing today. C'est vraiment un plaisir d'être ici dans la province d'Ontario, prendre l'opportunité de serrer le moment où on a un impact qui vient des États-Unis, un temps vraiment incertain. C'est l'opportunité pour le Nouveau-Brunswick et l'Ontario de travailler ensemble, pour l'équipe du Canada de travailler ensemble de façon unie et forte. Alors, je suis ravie de prendre cette étape, de prendre l'opportunité de vraiment solidifier le progrès au niveau de l'élimination des barrières à l'échange entre les provinces du Canada. It's really, it's a good day. We're looking forward to continuing to move forward. It's all about making progress, moving ahead, knocking down those barriers, getting rid of those exceptions, making sure that frozen pizzas from Ontario or Nova Scotia or New Brunswick can move into each other's hands, and a lot more. And so I want to thank Doug. I want to thank Tim for pushing on this. I think we're going to get there, and New Brunswick is looking forward to enjoying more Ontario products and selling more New Brunswick products to you all. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. So we're going to invite Premier Houston and Premier Ford to start with their signing of their Memorandum of Understanding. And now we will ask Premier Holt to join Premier Ford for the signing of their MOU.
Do they sign stuff down there?
Now we're signing the French version. I don't know what I'm signing here, but I'm going to sign it. I'm trusting you. This is my new French teacher, by the way, just to introduce it to you. Fantastic. Now, I think I should give each one of you these historic pins.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Beautiful. There you go.
Worth something on eBay.
Yeah.
Always looking to make a buck here.
Thank you.
His will.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
to
buddy.
you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. See, I got that right.
Okay, we're all set.
Good luck.
Take questions from the media. Media present can line up behind me at the microphone and ask their questions through it. As a friendly reminder, the format is one question and one follow-up. Please state your name and your outlet before your question. First question.
Liam Casey, the Canadian Press. Huge, important Battle of Ontario gets underway soon, Premier. You think the Senators will beat the Leafs in 4, 5, 6, or 7 games?
Yeah, see, that's someone told me I should get one of those split shirts, Sens and a Leafs. But I just hope it's a great game. There's no secret. I grew up as a Leafs fan, but at the end of the day, I want a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. It's been a couple decades, even longer, I think, before a Canadian team won. So it's going to be a great game. I can't wait till Sunday. And let the best team win. Go Leafs, go. Okay, sorry, that slipped out.
All right, go Sens, go. But on to something less important. Interprovincial trade. Looks like there's a lot of work to be done after the legislation is passed on regulations. How quickly can you get that up and running?
Well, with ourselves, we're just cleaning everything. We're just going full in, 100%, and we just want to make sure that the rest of the premiers come on board. It's the best thing ever. Everyone has a market of 40 million people now. And isn't it a shame it's taken this long, government after government, premiers after premiers, let this slide. And I always say, under any crisis, there's opportunities, and here's an opportunity that will bring prosperity and growth to every jurisdiction across this province. We're looking at $200 billion, anywhere from 4 to 8%. I think closer to 8%. And this is larger than any tariff that we have against the U.S. and they have against us.
Hi, Premiers. Émilie Goujon-Pelletier with Le Droit. Your closest neighbor is notably not here today, Premier Legault. I was wondering if you tried to get him to sign this MOU as well today, and if not, why?
Well, we want to reach out to all the premiers. They're very simple. We had a conversation with Premier Houston and then Premier Holt, and it just happened relatively quick. But we encourage all the premiers to run through the exceptions. Some, Tim mentioned it perfectly. There's kind of 3 buckets here, and that we have to look at. And I'm going to pass it over to Premier Houston here in a second. But we encourage all premiers across the country to hop on board, because if not, the train is going to leave the station, and your citizens are going to lose out on a massive opportunity to create more jobs and get their products that they manufacture in their provinces and territories out to the market. And you've heard the saying before, it's easier to trade with the United States and other jurisdictions around the world than it is, again, Premier Houston saying about the frozen pizza from Nova Scotia to Ontario. And I think we've all agreed on one thing. What is good for Nova Scotia and New Brunswick is good for the people of Ontario. So that's what we're going to focus on. But I'll pass it over to Premier Houston.
Thank you. I think all the Canadians recognize the need for change. They recognize that we have to do things a little differently, certainly in how we trade amongst ourselves. So I think everyone's on that page. There are definitely some that are more aggressively on full-on free trade. Nova Scotia already passed our bill. It's a royal assent. It's done and dusted. Ontario tabled theirs today. Prince Edward Island's debates and going through the process. And there are others. But there are some definitely full-on free traders. And then there are some that realize there's too many exceptions and we need fewer exceptions. Maybe we won't get rid of all of them, but we should try to get rid of some of them. And then I think there might be 1 or 2 status quo people. I don't know exactly at this moment in time who's all in which bucket. But I recognize that we're all coming from a different place. It's not easy to get rid of these. They all developed over time. It's not easy. So I think in terms of Quebec or any other jurisdiction for that matter, I think everybody is thinking through the process of what works best for them and how quickly they can go. I think what we're trying to do is get the early adopters, the coalition of the willing, out of the gates, and so we can get some momentum. And I think it's going to require momentum that will eventually pull others into the equation as well. So I think everyone wants to get there, but it's just a question of how quickly they can get there.
Thank you for that. Premier Holt, sure.
J'aimerais bien ajouter, parce
Merci.
que le Québec est un des partenaires le plus grand pour le Nouveau-Brunswick, clairement. Nous sommes des voisins. Alors, on a hâte de faire un accord avec Québec pour éliminer les barrières de l'échange entre nos deux provinces et de voir leur participation au complet avec ce mouvement national. Alors, clairement, c'est de même pour Ontario, que c'est un gros voisin. Il y a beaucoup de travail qui se passe, qui est peut-être un petit peu unidirectionnel à ce moment. Nous sommes hâte de voir que c'est un vrai partenariat avec un échange libre et juste entre nos deux provinces. Alors, ça, c'est une conversation que moi puis Premier ministre Legault, on continue d'avoir pour trouver la façon qu'on peut vraiment éliminer toutes les barrières possibles.
Is there any specific example, Premier, of hurdles that you foresee that would make it hard for Ontario and Quebec to sign this type of MOU? And please be specific in examples.
Sure, we're all in. You'd have to ask Premier Legault what the hurdles will be, but we pulled all exceptions off right across the board. So we want to work with Quebec. They're our neighbors. I love the Quebecers, and let's move forward. It's going to benefit Ontario. It's going to benefit Quebec if he signs this, but that will be a discussion that we'll have.
Hi, Premier Barbara with QB Briefing. How are you?
Good, Barbara.
So we know that if all provinces get on board on removing their provincial trade barriers, the estimated savings that this will give Canada is $200 billion. But what is the estimate for what we will be saving right now with the two provinces that are already on board right now?
Well, we don't have an exact figure right now, but what there is an opportunity for all three provinces to trade their goods and services back and forth, and makes us a lot stronger when we have three provinces working together. I'm very confident other provinces are going to come on board. We've had preliminary talks at COF when we get together, but I agree with our other two premiers. We're going to work with them, and we'll get them on board. I'm pretty confident, because if they don't go on board, it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt their economy. So I'd rather go after 40 million people than just stick within our own province.
So, thank you. So why were New Brunswick and Nova Scotia the first provinces to land a deal with Ontario? And are you already having conversations about that with other provinces, especially the neighboring ones like Manitoba and Quebec?
Yes, we have. I have to still have a good chat with Premier Legault, but very simple reason. Premier Houston took off out of the gate. He's leading the charge. We weren't in the legislature at the time, so now we're going to pass our legislation. And Premier Holt, we reached out to Premier Holt, and she said, "Hey, I'm on board too." So I think everyone's going to follow relatively quickly. And I know talked to Scott Moe yesterday and Wab Canoe as well. But they're going to have their opportunity to sit down and have a chat, and then would be open to signing an MOU with them as well.
Hi, Premier. Lorenda Redekop with CBC News.
Lorenda.
I wanted to start with this New York Times investigation about Therma. It turns out that there are two Thermas in Europe with same name, pretty much the same logo. The one building at Ontario Place has run just one spa in Romania. Did you get scammed by Therma?
No, when I heard this allegation, I went directly to the minister and to the deputy and said, "Here, look into this." Now I understand they're all one company. So one bought the other company. So I guess they're a larger, stronger company. But they're going to look into this allegation and find out and make sure that all the T's were crossed and I's were dotted. But what I really want to talk about when it comes to this is one small part of Ontario Place. We have Live Nation, we have a real public realm, we have the marina there. They're going to have restaurants and events all around the public realm, and this is going to be something spectacular at the end of the day. It'll be the #1 tourist attraction, I say, in the country, next to, if you want to call Niagara Falls. One tourist attraction is more the city, but an actual location. They're expecting over 6 million visitors. That's all Live Nation, everything combined. It's going to create a few thousand jobs, thousands of construction jobs, and it's sure the heck better than what was there before. So we'll work on it, and I'll find out what the story is on that.
I was going to ask my follow-up on this legislation, but I just wanted to follow up on this. So are you actually investigating them now, investigating this deal?
Investigating. I just want to double and triple check the contract and make sure, anything that was said in the story from the Times, we'll look into it and make sure everything passes the smell test.
So you could possibly get out of this 95-year deal?
No, it's not that at all. We want to build a beautiful facility down there. They're working hard, but it's going to be world-class. It's going to be spectacular.
Hi, Premier. Mirna Djukic, Radio-Canada. Just about the alcohol sales piece, it says facilitate direct-to-consumer sales, but can you give us what to expect in terms of timelines exactly? When will Ontarians be able to buy alcohol without going through the LCBO? Just concretely.
Well, they can go direct, but we, be very frank, we're still working out some details. I think all three of us will work out those details in other provinces across the board. So we're just trying to iron that out right now.
Are you good? Or go ahead. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry. Can you expand on how you're going to protect Ontarian small alcohol producers in that, and what's that going to mean for them?
Well, they're going to have a massive market now that they never had before, and they're true entrepreneurs, and they're going to be able to grow and sell their products across the country. That's how they're going to survive. They're going to do actually well.
Hi, Premier Jeff Gray, Globe and Mail. I wonder if you could step back just a little bit. I mean, governments like to quote these abstract economic studies about the benefits of reducing interprovincial trade barriers, usually using the higher end of the estimates the economists give us. And then the materials we were provided today, the first things that are mentioned as regulations that will be streamlined are safety vests for construction workers and the little flags that are on trucks that are carrying heavy loads. Can you explain, I mean, we've talked about pizza, I understand the pizza, but can you explain for people out there who aren't economists, how do we get from streamlining the rules around safety vests to $200 billion or even 7% of GDP? Can you help us understand that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeff. What we want to do is standardize right across the country. And you gave a good example, the safety vest. I always like using the first aid kits. First aid kit might be different in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and it's different in Ontario. I think there was another one with tire pressure or tires on transport trucks. We need to standardize it. If it's good for one province and everyone's done their due diligence and it's been around for years, why isn't it good for all provinces and territories? So that's what we need to do, but it really opens up the market. To ask your question, you're right. All the economists always use the high number, but even if we use a low number at 4%, it's still very good for all the provinces and territories in the country.
Hi, Premier. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. Your comments earlier this week defending Corey Teneycke ruffled some feathers in the Conservative movement, to put it lightly. What do you say to those federal Conservatives who feel you have betrayed them now and torpedoed Mr. Poilievre's chances here in the province? And did you say that to feed your own federal ambitions?
No, I have the greatest job in the world. I've said from day one, I'm not getting involved in this election. I never got involved in the other two federal elections. What I was doing is standing up for a friend, a campaign manager that brought 3 consecutive majority governments. Let the best person win, and there's no secret out there. I'm a Conservative. I have a blue sign on my lawn. Simple as that. But I've also shown I will work with anyone, no matter if it's the NDP mayor or a Liberal prime minister, or my great Liberal premiers, NDP premiers, my Conservative premiers. I don't care about political stripes. I'm going to deal with someone who wants to do the best job for Ontario and protect their jobs, protect the families and the communities. So I think I've been pretty clear on that, but I'm staying out of that battle.
So you're personally supporting the Conservative candidate in your riding?
What I just said, our family, when I was born, folks, the doctor came along and stamped the C on my forehead. Just like I'm sure my colleagues, no matter if it's Chrystia Freeland or Dominic LeBlanc, they're Liberals, and that's fine. God bless them. I'm a conservative. I'll always be a conservative. Simple as that. And that's why our families voted all forever, before Moses. Moses was a conservative, maybe. I don't know.
Sorry, Premier. Jessica from the Trade. Understanding that one company bought the other. When do you believe that to have occurred? There was a deal just last December, or do you mean that this happened before the province awarded this contract?
What I understand, I think it was a year ago. But what I want to look at is the end result. I want to make sure it's a beautiful destination for the millions and millions of people that come to Toronto to visit, that they have a destination to go to. And then I have to think about the 16 million people that are here, that when they come into they have a beautiful look around, and it's going to be stunning. It's going to be world class. That's what it's going to be.
I asked that question because, we obtained a slide by FOI and have published this.
Sure.
That was a presentation the Ministry of Tourism made to you and your staff before you awarded this contract at the time you were considering Therme, that highlights how it was operating 6 facilities in 2 countries, including Germany. Now, if the New York Times story is accurate, that wouldn't be true. So we're trying to understand, was the government misled by Therme? And if you find out that they did lie to you about this, what are you going to do about it?
Well, again, I'm going to get my deputies to look into it, and they're going to get back to me. I want to see the detailed agreement. And folks, when stuff like this gets chosen, no matter through world-class operation at Infrastructure Ontario or other places, I don't go out there and pick what train we're doing or buying for Metrolinx or this or that. I rely on our agencies, Infrastructure Ontario. So I'll look into it. I'll dig deep. Don't worry.
We will now move to questions from the phone.
Oh, this is a new one from the phone.
We have a question from Elda McDonald from Global News Halifax. Your line is open.
There you go. It's all yours.
Thank you. This question is actually for Premier Houston and Premier Holt. And my question is, what Nova Scotian and New Brunswick industries do you foresee benefiting the most from this new trade agreement with Ontario?
I think the potential for, a province like Nova Scotia, 1 million people in a country of 40 million, it opens up so many markets. And I think that's we talked about, there was a question earlier about safety vests, but I think the safety vests are just kind of a symbol. I mean, you could be a construction company sitting in Nova Scotia and thinking, well, gee, I can't do work in Ontario because there's all these little restrictions and it's just not worth it. We're removing those so we can open up the imaginations of those companies that say that's a big market and we have a great product, we deliver a good service, we can go to that market. So it's that feeling of hope and optimism that I think it delivers to citizens when they know that they can actually operate and sell and trade across the country, the entire country, when we get there with full free trade. But so look, the obvious ones, there's lots of really ridiculous restrictions around transportation, around different types of tires and braking systems and stuff that are safe in one province but not in the neighboring province. So removing all of those things opens up the potential. But I have to tell you, there's a lot of Nova Scotia businesses that are very excited about opening up new market potential for themselves, and it's across a number of different sectors. So I'm excited and they're excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think there's much I can add on to what Premier Houston said, other than it's exactly that. There's absolutely clear opportunities for New Brunswick's large transportation sector that right now have to change drivers, change trucks, change stickers when they cross various borders. That costs time, that costs money. To get to Jeff's specific question is how does it create a burden? It means you need more staff than you needed. You need more time. You have logistical challenges to move goods from one side of the country to the other, and we're looking forward to seeing those rules open up on transportation in particular, because New Brunswick Brunswick is quite a hub of transportation companies, but we also similarly have entrepreneurs that are really excited to get access to a broad Canadian market where they don't have to take their product and change the label and get it re-inspected by another inspection facility. Again, this costs time, this costs money, and so we're excited to recognize that every product that has a Nova Scotia label on it that's been inspected in Nova Scotia can hit the shelves in New Brunswick, and New Brunswickers can enjoy that. And the same with products that have New Brunswick labels can hit the shelves in Ontario without the extra red tape and costs and burden that New Brunswick companies experience today, which makes the whole market of Canada more accessible, makes it cost less to do business, and it means we're going to do more trade in Canada with each other, and that's good for everyone.
Thank you. And then my follow-up was just also for Premier Houston. Nova Scotian taxpayers have paid for you to visit Ontario a few times for some discussions with Premier Ford. I'm wondering if there's any plans to invite Premier Ford out to Nova Scotia moving forward.
Oh, I love having this guy down in Nova Scotia. We've had him down a couple times for sure. We hosted the COF in Halifax a couple times, but this is a great country. Every part of this country is great. It's one country, and we're really excited about making sure we make it that way on trade. But Premier Ford and Premier Holt and all my colleagues know that the door is wide open. They're going to have a great time in Nova Scotia. But I would not limit that invitation to just the premiers. Everyone in this room is also invited to Nova Scotia. We'd love to welcome you down. So I appreciate the question. Unfortunately, I got to get on my plane back to Halifax. But I just want to say to Premier Ford and to Premier Holt and my colleagues across the country, this is a good day. And there's work to be done for sure. I'm committed, and I know my colleagues are committed to doing. But thanks for your interest today. Talk to you soon.
Have a safe flight.
The next question comes from the line of Sean Schillerbeck from Brunswick News. Your line is open.
This is an MOU, being signed between 3 different provinces. But what will you do tomorrow and going forward to convince the other provinces to sign similar MOUs?
Making phone calls, communication. We have the greatest group of premiers. We all communicate. Again, that goes back to my last comment. None of us care about the political stripes. We have NDP premiers, Liberal premiers, Conservative premiers, and we all get along extremely well. And we want to do what's best for, number one, their province or territory, and be the best for Canada. And that's exactly what we're doing, tearing down these trade barriers and all working together. But I think the world of our premiers. We have a great group.
Oh, John, you want me to add to that?
Yeah, go.
Hey, John, how you doing? There's certainly lots of conversations happening between me and Premier Lance, Premier Fury, and all the other premiers across Canada because we want to move. We want to make forward progress. We want to use the momentum that's available to us to reassure Canadians and New Brunswickers that have been stressed about the negative economic impact of tariffs, that there is positive economic impact when Team Canada gets together and uses its full force. So New Brunswick's having those conversations with every other premier.
With the Maritimers.
And since I have you, just very quickly, will you keep barriers in place if those other provinces don't agree to change their barriers?
Well, that's a good hypothetical question that reflects the nature of the conversations we're having right now with our neighbors. I think there was a question from Le Droit about Quebec, so we're keen to understand what exemptions they're going to get rid of. There are some things that New Brunswick's just done point blank. We're not looking for reciprocity. We've moved forward with labour mobility. We don't need reciprocity on that. We've removed exceptions from our procurement. We don't need reciprocity on that. So there's a number of things we're moving ahead with independently, and then there's lots of conversations we're having with neighbouring provinces and all across Canada to figure out who can move forward with us, how far can we go, let's go all the way. So that's in the works right now.
Yeah. Well, I just have the best time. You were talking about when I come out to Nova Scotia or New Brunswick. I love it out there. The people are so friendly. They are. I got to tell you one quick story. I'm on the plane, and this was I think just not too long ago when we were out there before, and there was a couple. And they start chatting it up with me, and they said, well, if you don't have a place to stay, come over for dinner tonight, and you can stay at our place. But they weren't joking around. you know, this is the hospitality. They have the biggest hearts in the world on the East Coast, and I just love it there. And I have the best time of my life when I go there. They're so hospitable and so friendly every time I go. So I got to get over there again shortly. I'm going to wait a month till it warms up a bit.
June 8th.
Yeah. Are we all done, folks?
Our next question comes from the line of Paul Bacon from All Nova Scotia. Your line is open.
Hello, my question is for Premier Holt, please.
Yes.
Premier, does your government intend to pass or introduce reciprocal legislation like Nova Scotia and Ontario have?
Right now, we've got our labor mobility legislation in the House. We've got our direct-to-consumer legislation in the House. We've had a number of things that we have removed that are more regulatory, and so we've just gone ahead and removed them. And then we're looking at the pieces that require further legislation to address those as well. So we're working through it piece by piece, but we're excited to get labor mobility and direct-to-consumer passed. And we're pleased that we've been able to move forward and eliminate exceptions without the time it takes to get through the legislature. Our cabinet has just decided that we're doing it, and we've done it. And so we're going to continue to move as quickly as possible to take advantage of this opportunity to remove barriers for New Brunswick entrepreneurs and for all Canadians to have trade happen much more quickly and much less expensively. Thanks, Paul.
That concludes our announcement. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. I just again want to thank Premier Holt and Premier Houston for being first out of the gate, and all my other premiers. You're all champs. Let's get this done right across the country, and we'll be the most prosperous, wealthiest country in the world. There's massive opportunities right now, no matter if it's building big national infrastructure projects like the pipelines, and nothing more would make Premier Holt happier if we had a pipeline going right across the country into the Irving refinery and producing more opportunities for Canadians and getting the road to the Ring of Fire. We have incredible opportunities in mining, not just here in Ontario, but also in New Brunswick and everywhere else in our country. So, folks, thank you very much, and God bless the people of Canada. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.